the Kinera Celest Yaksha. Let's talk about it. Now, this is a 4-driver IEM with 2 dynamic drivers, 1 BA and 1 microplanar per side from Kinera. And it costs around $140, but there will be a coupon right now to make this be $120. So you can kind of determine what you think of the price on that value. But we're going to kind of think of it as $140 as for the purposes of this video. This was sent out to me by HiFiGo. All thoughts and opinions are mine. Let's get into this video and look at the build quality of this pretty IEM. So the shell is pretty, and this also comes in green if you prefer that color. Now, the IEM itself isn't bad. It's a reasonable size shell. It isolates well when you can get a fit, but I did have a great difficulty of this coming out of my ear frequently. The only other IEM that has given me this many fit problems is the Singolo. I mean, the Singolo has nice sound, but the fit was just not it. The shell of this IEM isn't the greatest. I prefer some other of Kinera's IEMs, but overall, I mean, the shell is a kind of one of those things that if you can get it to work for you with the right tips, it's okay. It has a flat 2-pin cable connector. You can kind of see through its resin shell. Its faceplate is nice. Overall, I like the look of this IEM, but in ear it does not feel great. So there you go. Now, I've never seen this case particular being used before, so it's kind of nice to see something new. And I will say I love it when people do something different, and I love this case. It's kind of a small case, and it has kind of a nice feeling on the interior, little Celeste branding on the outside. It fits the IEM well. Nice case. There are 3 sets of tips that are included with this. It's a nice selection of tips, but nothing too exciting. But there you go. This is the cable. Now, this is a nice cable. It feels plush and comfortable on my skin. The color scheme is not something that I particularly like with the yellow and pink, but you might like it. It has metallic weighted connections, which feel nice, a chin slider that works, and all around it is a nice feeling cable. I feel it's a nice cable, especially at this price point. The connectors do have a right and left to them. You can kind of see them upside down here, but all around, great cable at this price, but it is a single termination cable, which can be a good or bad thing. There we go, right and left. So we've talked about the fit and comfort and how it doesn't 100% work for me, but I had to dial it in with the right tips. I put on some foams and it seemed to work out pretty well, but I got it to work with the Venice tips as well. There's been kind of a curse by a lot of people that you don't get a well-rounded, good set with good treble, good mids, and good bass that's under 150. This, to my opinion, is one of the better, maybe even the best IEMs under 150. It's a very fun U-shaped set. It has a versatile tuning that's kind of right in my wheelhouse. When I got the tips dialed in, it helped a lot. But for me, it's a really nice set with good drivers and good air and detail. Now, I enjoy the sound of this, and this is kind of where I enjoy Sonic IEMs to be, but its bass isn't as impactful. Fit and comfort aren't super great. There are some amounts of sibilance, but all around, the detail and resolution for this price, I feel, is pretty good. It's a solid, good sounding set, and it is almost a surprise to me that Kinera is the one to do it. I'm really impressed at what this has done, and we're going to try to compare this to a few other IEMs out there, but I do like this IEM and think it is a very competent well-rounder that could work for a lot of people, and it is a reasonable price. Okay, let's look at this graph and let's normalize this around 500 just to get a better view of it. And what you'll notice, it has nice amount of bass, a nice amount of sub bass, pretty much exactly what I want. It does have a little bit of this 3K bump, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. It might have a little bit too much 8K, which can be incision or precision almost. To me, I like a little bit of 8K. I like a little bit of a spike here from what I've noticed. And with EQ, so like as all around, this tonality is really, really nice for what you get here, and it constitutes a fun, engaging set with great bass. I want to compare this to a lot of other Kinera sets. I haven't been particularly kind with their sets, and so I kind of want to go through some of them of why I feel what way I did. The first one, Pantomime 2.0, it just didn't sound very good in the ear, sounded kind of flat, didn't have a lot of bass, but its upper mids were okay. It was better with EQ. Even the expensive Verdandi had a ton of upper mids and was just way too much for me, although there's some people like I've heard that absolutely love that set. The Relentless, this one had way too much upper air and frequency, but its mids and bass were a lot of fun, and it's a really fun, engaging set, but it's kind of one of those kind of flavory, detail-y sets that's not going to be for everyone. The Kinera Celest Wavering Abyss is also a really nice set from them. I like it, had a little bit too much upper mids. It was a budget set, didn't have the air and detail and the driver capability that the Wavering Abyss had, but it's all around a nice set. Something like the Phoenix Call. The Phoenix Call had way too much, like 1.5K. And there's some other sets they have, like say the Dark Phoenix, which is a beautiful set, but had way too much 1K and a little bit of weird wonky air. The Plutus Beast, one of the first like bone conductor drivers I ever heard. Again, they like kind of a ton of 1K. And it just all around didn't sound as engaging as I wanted to. They even had another set that I've reviewed, the Wavering Ting, which is kind of a budget set with a lot of upper mids. They've had some good sets. Like I consider the Ting and the Plutus Beast fun in their rights, but as well as the Wavering Abyss, especially really good. But they've kind of had some interesting tunings, but I think this is one of their better ones in my personal opinion, based on tuning and just what worked with me. It's the best. Is it the best build quality? I don't think so. I think some of their shells, like even the Wavering Abyss, the Dark Phoenix, or the Relentless, had better shells than this one. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe they're the exact same, but it's just kind of how it fits for me. It feels a little bit off, and I wanted to note that in this review. This reminds me a little bit of the Dyna Quattro. It feels like it has a little bit better air. The bass on the Dyna Quattro is a little bit better. It's a really nice set. You can tell like this just has a little bit of a dip around this 4K region. The Yaksha does. It's a solid set. With really nice air and detail, but sometimes it could be a little bit shouty for some, depending on whether you're sensitive to that 3K spike it has. But to me, this holds its own with the Dyna Quattro, which is good company to be in my book. Another one I want to show you just how close this is up to about 3K with the Annihilator. Very nice kind of mid-bass shelf. There's a little bit more bass with the Annihilator, but it's just something to kind of look at how close those are. They don't compete. They're not in the same leagues, but the Yaksha does have a really, really nice tonality, and it does a lot well for what I like. And I think it has great drivers and a great tonality to the point where I think this is going to work for people if they can get in the fit and comfort and dial it in where you need. There's another set that I like in this price range, the P7. I do feel the P7 is a little bit more neutral, has a little bit better air, but it's also spiky and kind of a jazzy upper air, which isn't going to be for everyone. The Yaksha has really nice, kind of more tame upper air and detail. Its air is really quite nice. I really am quite impressed with it at this price, and it doesn't have a ton of sibilance other than the mids. It's just nice. It works really well as an overall well-rounded set for me. This has similar drivers, has a few less drivers, but it also has like the same microplanars used in the Dusk. I do think that the Dusk is kind of one of those, those sets that's kind of underrated, but it's like I was kind of always wondering when they were going to bring these drivers into a cheaper set. And I don't know that much about drivers, but I do understand a little bit, and it feels like with certain combinations it works a little bit better. And I do feel the Kinera Celest Yaksha has the kind of a good job of picking their drivers, getting it into a reasonable cost setup. And I think it could be a really fun work. And that's kind of the reason I wanted to share the Dust, because of the similarity in drivers. Not too much more. Maybe in the used market, you might be able to get a Chopin. You'll notice it has less of a bass tuck. The Chopin has a little bit more sparkle and air. I think people might like it better. The Chopin also has a little bit weird fit and comfort. So they do kind of compete more so in price than you might realize. But it really depends on what you are looking for and whether you want a bass tuck, which can kind of affect how vocals can sound. So the Chopin, you'll notice that it kind of has this part retracted, which can kind of makes those vocals pop, and a little bit of more sparkly air around that mid treble region, which some people you are gonna like. It is gonna sound like, ooh, I hear the details. The Yaksha, you will feel like sometimes you're not like, where are the details? This is just a lot of bass with decent treble, and that's kind of the beauty of the Yaksha, is that it doesn't have a lot of that sparkly treble, so it becomes a really long listening set. Other thing to look at, like the Eroso. The Eroso is a lot like the Chopin. Its upper air isn't as pristine. I do think the Yaksha is a little bit better, although the shell on the Eroso is better. The build feels a little bit better, but the accessories on the Yaksha are, I think, better. But also, you're dealing with some interesting cable choices and colorways on the Yaksha. So if you want more bespoke something, the Eroso is also a really great option. Another option I really like that's not too expensive, like my favorite set, if you're gonna spend a little bit more money right now, is the Astral. It has a little bit less like big bass, a little bit more subdued mids and clarity. It's just a really nice set that I can recommend if you're after it, but it is almost double or triple the price depending on how you look at it. Another set to think about, if you can get a planar to work for you. I haven't had many planars work for me, but the Aether did work for me for whatever reason. If you can get a planar to work for you, it's a really good driver, but if a really good setup, and the Aether worked really, really nicely for me. And it might be something to consider if you're in the budget market. I really like planars when it works. And the Aether is a really nice planar that fits and really feels like it hits the dynamics and sits where I want it to in my ear. So there are options at the, like, not too far away at this price that make this a really good thing. And I think the amount of detail you get in something like the Kiwi ears Aether is going to be improved, because the detail in this kind of mid-treble region can feel mooted to some. You might like something with a little bit more excitement. You might listen to the Yaksha and think, man, that's a little bit subdued. Yeah, and that's kind of what you're looking at with it. It's like almost like there's a lot of things well, but it has that mid-treble spike that's kind of gone. Another one that's really good at this price is the Explorer. My problem with the Explorer is that I wanted a little bit more upper mids, and that's kind of one of its faults. All right, the Yaksha. Let's rank this guy up. Solid A. Really nice bass, good mids, good highs. It images pretty well. It feels a little bit bass and air focused rather than mids. Like its mids feel a little bit wonky. It doesn't have the best note weight or bass, but it's acceptable. It's good. Its soundstage is nice. It's an all-around nice sonic signature. As far as we look at how things go up per price category, I recently even further took my thing and divided this into like 150, 100 to 150, and then this should be 151 to 150 or to 200 to kind of further alienate this and kind of give it a little bit more ploy. But I do feel that this is a really good performer at its price. You may or may not like it, but I think it's a contender and it does well. As far as how does this rank with the Kinera Celest IAMs that I've seen, it's my favorite. I like the tuning. I like the air. I feel it represents a good use of drivers. And what is an IEM? It's just a few drivers and a shell. For me, I think the shell, while being pretty, is one of those shells that doesn't quite work for me. That's not something I really prefer. But when you can dial this in, I think it is a nice sonic quality. It is a nice IEM that I feel is expressive and fun. It has enough highs, it has enough bass, it has enough mids. It's an all-around pleasant tonality, and it's an even more pleasant price. I think if you can get this IEM at a reasonable price, I think you're gonna like it. I think it's highly competitive in the market, and it gets a full recommendation from me. And it kind of asks the question of like, why do you need more expensive IEMs? And oftentimes it's to have better build quality, to have something that's maybe even prettier with better accessories. And so that's kind of the reason why I think you might want to get a different IEM. Like maybe you want something that has a certain fit. Like as far as fit go, I don't want to be too insulting, but it's not one of my favorites. It's for me, it's one of the hardest fit IEMs to get, and I often find it slipping out of my ears. But it is a solid, fine IEM, and sonically, I think it has great extension, and it sounds great on my music, and I like what it does. I think it's highly competitive for what it is. Thanks for watching my video. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And I hope you have a great day.
And I half expected it to be made of wood. You are without doubt the worst
audio file
I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
You're still here. It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for our next video. Well, we don't have that kind of money. What are you expecting? One of those store reviewers to show up in a saucy little leather number? Go. Oh, I can tell you one thing. We are going to have a collab video. We have no idea what it's going to be. Probably Kryn, maybe Chris. Or Joyce. Don't deny it. She's got range. Go. Get out of here. Go.
Go!
Go.
Go on with you!
You're mid, you're mid, you're mid, you're legendary. You're mid, Jaytiss out.